Doctors of Reddit, what is the hardest part about your jobs? Serious. Dealing with admin bullshit. That or dealing with ancillary staff that just don't want to do their fucking job that they are paid good money to do. The constant he said she said drama. Construction workers are like high school kids. All they do is talk shit and get mad that someone else talked shit. When I'm depressed, it's always very easy to find stuff happening around me that makes the world seem like a very cruel and unforgiving place. We start each day at the orthopedic clinic I currently work at with a radiology round where you look at all the x-rays from yesterday's surgeries. The amount of stress you feel when the entire clinic looks at your results are immense. When an older colleague starts the sound when he sees some of the scans. Ouch. Removed. Abusive patients and relatives. Especially when it comes to waiting times or poor staffing levels, it really sucks to be yelled at for it. I hate it just as much as you do, but it's out of my control. I encourage anyone who's unhappy with these things to make complaints because they sure don't give a shit about staff opinion. Male patients not respecting me as their physician because I'm a young-looking female. Getting yelled at because nursing staff isn't fast enough with the Tylenol or water, or dinning staff is taking forever with the meals. I understand people when they are in the hospital are usually very uncomfortable and in a situation they never imagined they would be in and may need more attention, but we are not a babysitting service, or a hotel. Keeping you alive is our main goal, and usually there are sicker patients in the hospital that may need more help than you. Please be respectful of that. The lack of appreciation. The admin stuff, the stress, the hours, all that would be tolerable if you just felt like what you were doing was making a difference. And there are patients that will tell you how thankful they are for your help. But by and large most of the people that come in are 1. Angry that you can't fix them immediately. 2. Refusing to do what you recommend to actually make them better. 3. Pissed at you for things you can't control, like their insurance or the fact they had to wait longer because you were in the middle of a cardiac arrest patient. 4. Disrespectful of the time you do spend with them, like when you are asking them about their problem and they are texting right in front of you. And #X200B. That's just patients too. I'm not even talking about the treatment from other doctors, administration always saying you aren't seeing enough people or whatever else they decide to complain about, etc. All the non-physician staff who only care about clocking in and clocking out. Can't totally blame them though, they didn't sign up for the responsibility I did. Nonetheless, it's exhausting to hear, well, it was shift change so XYZ didn't get done. Honestly, to me just the paperwork and charting/dealing with insurance. I love pretty much all the patient care aspects, and even though there's frustrating parts to that as well, it's still rewarding. But we have to overchart so much BC of how litigious everything is, and because insurances suck there's tons of BS paperwork and behind the scenes stuff to deal with there too. It sucks, and half the time you're not even sure what they want exactly. Removed. Patients coming in with very clear, defined expectations, with no flexibility. I understand that you started a cough 2 days ago, but you also had a runny nose, sneezing, etc. to suggest a viral infection. So you demand a chest X-ray as well as antibiotics on the spot because Google told you that you definitely, without a doubt, have pneumonia. You probe for a diagnosis, and a diagnosis that is in line with what you Googled. Exclamation question mark. You want something to take home because you don't want to feel like I wasted your time. I mean, would you rather me tell you that you have a viral infection and just ride it out without antibiotics, or do you want me to tell you that you have TB, pneumonia, or lung cancer and you need the big gun stuff? Please go get your nursing degree, PT degree, MD/DO degree, PA/NP degree if you want it your way. This is not Burger King. I've had patients tell me I want the X so I can get on with my life, or that's fine, I'll just go to X and get them to get it there, and well, my doctor gives me a vitamin B12 shot when I feel tired, walks in demanding vitamin B12, like what? Since when was this a thing? Great, you got what you have gotten from eating 2 slices of fortified bread. My mother is a doctor, family physician, delivers babies, etc. I was probably 13. She got home early on Christmas morning after being on call for the night, and was visibly upset. Both a mother and her child had died in childbirth that night. I don't think there's anything else as terrible to witness. Deaths of younger adult patients. I'm okay when dealing with the death of the PT in a vacuum, but seeing the intense acute grief of family members is heartbreaking. When called to pronounce them dead, I try to wait as long as I can until after family has left, because I still have several hours of work left and can't be falling apart at the seams. The constant work. Even if I'm not on the shop floor, I'm studying, preparing audits, working on teaching for juniors, etc. Medicine is an exercise in resilience. Anytime you think you've got everything controlled, someone will throw something else on your plate and it will feel like you're going to drown under the weight of it all. Trying to take care of people who are rude or ungrateful. Also, I have a lot of patients who only bathe weekly, and that's a real challenge in the summer. 9mm I'm an OB/GYN/BTW. Medical researcher, not doctor. Patients don't listen. Oh my God, do you want to suffer? Patients obviously lying about drug/alcohol use/quantity/frequency. Just gets old. Best friend is a GP, his wife is an oncologist. She says, 1. Patients you know are going to die very soon and you can do nothing to stop it. He says, 2. Patients who would have 20 or more high-quality years left of their life if they just followed your advice, i.e. improve your diet, quit smoking, cut down on the alcohol, but you know they won't. Both my aunt and uncle, married, work in the medical field. Aunt is a trauma nurse in the ER and my uncle is a burn surgeon. This question came in conversation once and they told me that one of the hardest parts is balancing life and work. My cousins are much younger than me and they had to hire a full-time nanny because my uncle is always on call, so he might have to head to the hospital at a moment's notice. My aunt simply said she loves her sons very much, but after an intensely stressful 14-hour shift she doesn't the energy to play with 2 high-energy young boys. Their jobs, especially my uncle's, own them. Sure, he might have saved someone's life, but a 6-year-old can't comprehend or understand why daddy had to miss his birthday. My aunt can't explain why she woke them both up to cuddle and cry because she just witnessed a boy their age die. It's hard to be the happy, fun-going dad when you just lost someone on the operating table. My cousins are getting older, so they are finally being more able to understand what exactly their parents do. Despite that, it still doesn't change the fact that they missed parts of their childhood. Don't get me wrong, I know they love their children and do their best. I'm not judging or trying to talk bad of them. Sometimes it's just sad to see. Hopefully this reply still fits. I work in psychotherapy, and end up clashing with pharmaceutical companies every month. Dad said people canceling literally the last minute or no showing. Dealings with insurance. It took me 2 years once to get paid by the VA for a procedure I performed. Today it's that I'm tired, sick, and on a 24-hour shift. Parents. Pediatrician. Getting out of bed. My dad works in the ER. He says the worst part of his job are all the addicts who come in trying to get pills. He sees usually 10 people a day who will come in claiming some kind of pain, asking specifically for morphine or other strong painkillers. He says he can usually tell because if he says he could only give painkillers for a headache, they'll immediately switch whatever was hurting to a headache. Being there to watch someone's family member die, especially younger people in the age range of 0 to 16 years old, and having to then relay that to the family. Bureaucratic bullshit. As a GP in Australia, the amount of hoops I need to jump through to prescribe medications, order investigations, and get patients actually seen by the specialists they require / get the procedures done they need is ever increasing, yet alone the insurance reports, Centrelink, unemployment benefits, paperwork, and general other cruft that's expected that I do essentially without pay. I only get paid Medicare when the patient is actually in front of me, and for some insurance reports. Feels like I'm working harder and harder to do the actual medicine bit for my patients, and getting less and less for it. I suspect this and most of the other answers weren't quite what you were expecting. Yeah, dealing with death can be hard, especially with the young and the tragic. But you realize early on in this job that death is something that happens to everyone, and even if you do your best, sometimes people die. But when a patient dies, or takes a turn for the worse, because something that should have been done wasn't, especially when you tried to make it happen but couldn't because of bureaucracy, that's a bad day. A fun thing to note for the majority of you reading this. If you're looking at a lot of the answers, outside of the patients who come in demanding things that are clearly wrong for them, you note that most physicians here are unhappy with administration and the inability to just be doctors. Very little complaints about patients and or diagnoses and or work hours. Patients are not the problem, everything else in medicine is. Source, Ortho Surgeon.